long fast. And then 2 to 3 hours later, go ahead and eat a larger meal. Here's a very important point that you do. Okay, so the long fast, if you look into it, the sources, they're all about eating during the morning hours and not eating in the afternoon. Eating hours during the day. So what I recommend is, I really want you to
changes between weight and body composition and decreasing their abdominal and truncal fat content because they actually had a 37% reduced calorie intake, even though they were 12 hours indulging in things like pizza and hamburgers. And the report that they published in the study was that the participants felt that this diet was actually doable. They felt that they were able to comply with this diet because in fact they could indulge. But keep in mind, people who recommend nutritionists recommend you take fast food believe that those hours when you eat, you shouldn't necessarily just be having everything you want. You should be really thinking about nutrients and balance and a healthy diet overall. So when you talk about fast food, you think it's really easy to fast food, keep it going. And ultimately, I think fasting here and there, that's got merits. If you kind of incorporate it into your life and your lifestyle in a good way, it's going to have some health benefits. But there are larger elements of diet that are important. You're eating plant-based diet, actually, very specifically there, that leads to plant-based diet, meaning getting away from animal fats, getting
stress and oxidative damage just as a result of using ketones. Well, because ketones are also present during this time, it helps clean basically the oxidative stress. As ketones serve as an antioxidant, they serve as something that helps oxidative formation. They also serve as something that burns like clean fuel. So even though you're burning during your fuel, glucose, your ketones help mitigate that a little bit. Now when we talk about the brain, this is where it's really interesting. During a fast, you have an increase in synaptic activity with the brain. You think about it like this. Typically, it makes that neuronal stem cells.
model, you're like doing runways. Everyone thinks you're living large, and you're getting your $1,000 per runway show.
If that even.
I hate that.
I know.
I want to hear about all the firsts that you experienced. So we talked about the Sports Illustrated. You have 2 out of the 3. Did you get a big beauty
No,
pageant?
no,
Not
I was
yet.
close. Not yet.
Not yet.
Yeah.
Okay, I love that there's more things to achieve.
Yeah, it's always more things.
And then I also saw your first designer bag you brought home.
Yeah.
I know that it sounds silly, but for
Yeah.
someone who's been working and came from like a very far away,
Mhm.
beginning. So how was it for you to experience even like becoming financially independent and responsible for yourself?
I mean, it's so freeing, right? To be like financially.
And you got a house and all that.
I did in LA. That was crazy too.
Well, that's actually crazy to be working. Like, we love it working, but we love real estate.
I know, full house in LA. People also don't understand that there's so much money to be made in digital media. So like the combination of both the modeling and the digital media, I was very grateful to have both.
It sounds like the stars were really aligned for you, but it was your turn to like, do your thing, because when you came in, social media was already happening.
It was, but it wasn't as monetized. I think it was just like a platform to like show your campaigns or your photo shoots, but
Like a portfolio.
yeah, like a portfolio.
Now everyone's on it, understand that it's part of it. You can't just be a model. You have to be on social media. You have to build that personal brand.
100%. The industry has changed so much because of social media. Like before, people would look at your portfolios and they just look at your Instagram, and that wasn't the case before.
And you are able to build a personal brand. To me, something that I remember from my modeling days that really made me so upset was the fact that my future and my work and everything I was doing was really depending on the efforts that the agency was doing. You know what I mean? And when I decided that I'm starting social media, what really drew me when I decided I'm going to start a new business is the fact that I'm going to be the captain of the ship.
The agencies are feeling that shift where they had all the power before, and now it's shifted to the model. What I actually like about social media is, like you said before, the agencies decide what your haircut is. The agencies decide your hair color. They decide how you dress. And obviously, as a model, you have some input in how to bring that to life. But at the end of the day,
Very
it's,
minor.
yeah.
Where now it's like you're really setting the tone for what they are putting together, because your personality is known, your essence, based on what you put on social media is known. So they're really building out on top of that. So when you come to the set, it's like it's Kelsey trained, not
Yeah.
God knows what. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I also like that, I've shared more of my life on my interests, like things that I like. Essentially, I've attracted brands that associate and gravitate towards that. So I think that's also like, in a way, I've been able to work with other brands that I haven't been able to work with as a model.
How do you deal with like opinions? Because part of what happens when you put yourself online is that even for you, with all the privacy and the things that you don't share, people have a lot of opinions, what you do, what you don't do, who you are, and especially for you when you say that you don't share as much of yourself, you give stage for everyone else to tell you people. Like, how do you navigate that?
Talking about security, I've been very secure as a person. Like I'm so secure of myself that I also don't feel the need to prove to others otherwise. Like that's their opinion. Like I'm not gonna spend energy trying to convince other people otherwise. A lot of the things are out of my control. I just need to learn what can I control, how I can control, how I respond. Do I let it get to me? Do I not let it get to me? No, those are all within my control.
I don't think people realize, but I mean, you mentioned it a little bit earlier where you were discovered. You were discovered online.
Yeah, I was discovered by this New York director for Olympian models at that time on Instagram. I remember I was like a sophomore in college and I was doing like a paper and I got like an email and it said like modeling in the Big Apple. And I was like, okay, this looks really sketchy. I was 17 at that time. He was this really legit guy who discovered Coco Wyo. My dad talked to him for like 2 hours because he was like literally like telling me to go to New York on my own. My dad wouldn't let me. I'm like, I'm good, I'm old, I can do it.
I'll figure this out.
But now in hindsight, I'm like, okay, that was fair.
What did you learn about yourself once you reached the Big Apple? And it's like, okay, Kelsey, this is your playbook. Go ahead.
Oh my god, it's just opened up a whole world. When I was young, I wanted to be a teacher, so now it like
Usually a teacher.
yeah, I don't know why. I like remember being so clear. I just thought it was so cool that like my teachers were great. They had the power of grading me. I was like, I want that power. Yeah, even me. I just want to be that. The horizon just really opened up, and it's made me just been able to like dream much bigger.
But tell me the ugly, messy parts, because there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
So when you're out there, and again, you're a child trying to understand where they belong and who they are, and build their future. There's a lot of messiness there. What is that messiness for you? Like for you, did you find yourself in environments that you were like, this is not for me? Relationships, friendships.
I'm trying to think, and I've actually also talked to my parents about this because they're like, we don't want you to like get into like bad influences. But like I've just never been in those rooms. I've never been surrounded by bad influences or bad crowds. by the time you leave,